Hey everyone, it's Sonia here today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is episode 155, and this is another heart to heart. You're going to see by now that I am starting to infuse more of my solo shows in with my heart to heart since I did 2 years of solos and then maybe 3 months of heart to hearts, and now I am intertwining them. So we have a beautiful, beautiful soul with us today. Her name is Anca. Anca, I said it right. If not, she will correct me. Anca, please take a few minutes and introduce yourself to our audience.
Well, first off, Sonia, thank you so much for having me on. And yes, you nailed it. I would probably say it more like Anka with an open A, but I go back and forth. I'm okay with either or. I am a business owner. I am a mom. I am a spouse. I am a bodybuilder, a podcaster myself. And like everyone else in this circus called life, trying to balance it all and make it the best it can be, living my purpose, living with passion. I do care about the impact that I live in the world. So I'm intentional about the things that I do, that if I am going to put effort into it, it better be worth it. So that's just a bit of me. And for anyone that's curious, I'm sure we're going to have more in-depth biographies linked to the episode notes. So feel free to peruse at your own time. But I'm super, super excited about the conversation today.
Excellent, excellent. And so am I. And I know our readers, listeners, wherever you are, if you're catching this on YouTube,
Viewers.
viewers, there we go. They're probably feeling the exact same way. They're excited because on my heart to hearts, you don't know what to expect. And what I love the most about everything that you said is you are multidimensional. You're not just one person. You don't play one role in your life. And we talked behind the show before we got started about kids and curiosity in life. And I definitely want to touch on that. But before we do that, I want you to share with us what it means to you to leave your impact in the world.
That's an excellent question. And honestly, for anyone that, struggled with that, I'm sure it wasn't an easy answer. It wasn't something that you just woke up in the morning and you're like, that's what's gonna leave an impact in the world with the things that I do. For me, it was a journey, and where I navigate and where I operate is in a male-dominated niche. I have a production agency that works within that niche, and it took me a long time to come into the person that I am today and finally find my belonging, regardless of people, inviting me to sit at their tables or just, having to bring my own chair. And I realized that in this niche that I am very familiar with, because I've been here for 20 years, there's a lot of women that feel like I used to feel in the beginning. They don't feel like they belong. They don't feel like they have a voice. And they feel like there's such a long ways to go before change happens. And that can be multidimensional change, from the way we show up in a workplace to the way we are being perceived to the type of opportunities we get. And because of, my expertise and experience in this field, I found my place, my voice, where I could elevate, encourage, highlight, empower other women that are coming behind me, but also the ones that are more way advanced, but haven't yet had the boldness and the courage and that fearless attitude to address some of the issues that we deal with on a daily. So once I came into the person who I am today, and confidence is something that I feel like we all have a dose of, but we don't always put a spark behind it to take it to the next level. When I finally came into the person who I am and found my voice, that just like took on like fire. And I no longer, was taken down by people not agreeing with what I had to say, or just seeing things differently. I was okay with seeing their side, but also holding to my truth and being able to walk down this line that I knew this is what's gonna make a difference in the long run. But I have to stay consistent. I have to stay true to myself, and I have to give a voice to the voiceless. And that's basically what I'm doing. And hopefully, if this works out, in the end, it will leave that impact that I'm hoping that it will, when all is said and done. And I was just listening to an audiobook recently, and it's written by the same guy that wrote The Monk That Sold His Ferrari. And I forgot the name of the author. I have to look it up. But basically, the title of the book was "Who's Gonna Cry at Your Funeral?"
Yeah.
Because that's basically gonna dictate the type of effort and type of intentional effort you're putting into some of the things that you're doing, based on what is the impact that you leave. And that impact is going to touch the people closest to you, but also it's going to have this sort of like a wave like effect on other people as well. So it was definitely food for thought for me. And it's something that I do struggle with in the middle of the night. I would wake up and be like, how am I going to be remembered? Like, I care, what I do today, to know how people will remember me years from now.
There's so much there, and I was just looking up the book. Oh, it's Robin Sharma.
There you go.
I knew it was familiar. Okay. And the reason why I was looking this up, Robin Sharma is the author of the 5 a.m. Club, which is why I knew it was familiar to me. I've read that book twice.
I have
audio.
to.
Oh,
Now
you
that you
haven't
mention
yet?
it, I have
Ah,
not. So I
it
have
is
to, now that you
it is
mention it.
awesome. Okay, so anybody listening to this, watching this on YouTube, catching any of this on the your favorite podcast listening stations, or directly through Anca or myself, we will have these links in the show notes. So this, who is going to, oh no, that's not it. I just need to write this down. But
I'm
I
gonna
have
look it up, because now I'm like, I don't want to give you the wrong.
No, it is the monk who stole his Ferrari.
Yeah. And then the name of the book that I was just referencing is, let me go to my,
That was it. Oh, I thought that was it.
so it's the same author, but there's a different one that I just finished reading, and it was so empowering. Just such, food food for thought. It's like, what are you going to do with your life in a way that people will remember you? So the name of the book is Who Will Cry When You Die?
That's right.
Robin Sharma. Yeah.
Yes, Who Will Cry When You Die. So
Yeah.
so there's 3 books we reference here, all by Robin Sharma. I'm just writing them down so I can show note them. And for anybody at all that's catching this for the first time, this is us. This is real. This is authentic. I don't do pre-work. I like being real with my guests. They can't prepare. They can't make this shit up, because I'm catching them so far off guard. They have no choice but to be authentically who they are, because I know that's who you are attracted to. You're attracted to your authentic self, which is exactly why I bring in these kind of guests. And we talk about personal and professional hats and roles. And one of the things that you mentioned, Anca, is how, who will die at your funeral? Who will cry at your funeral? And I talk about this all the time with my coaching guests, whether it's in a group or it's one-on-one, and I'm sure you do the same thing with your events, but to visualize what people will say at your eulogy. And I have a little food for thought here, because just thinking about that can be heavy. This is not a client for you. And if you're listening to this and that question, your internal response to that question of what will be said at your eulogy, at your funeral, if this is your internal response, you might as well shut this off, because this is not for you. So I'm going to share this. My brother said this to me, and he's not open-minded. And we only want people that are open-minded listening to either one of our stories or shows, because that's how you're going to grow. If you're open-minded, you're grabbing these books. You're leaning into additional information. You're curious, like children, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Okay, so what do you want people to say at your eulogy? My brother's answer? What do I care? I'm dead. Okay.
Kind of funny, but not really.
Right? And then I said to him, I said, Mark, okay, so let's just pretend you're laying on your deathbed. And, what are some of the things that are across your mind? What do you think? What do you want to achieve before that moment happens? And he's like, what do I care? I'm dying. I'm like, okay. Not my ideal client. So I wanted to bring this up because not often as entrepreneurs do we stand there and say, these people don't fit. We're told to niche down and we know that we can help people. We cannot help everybody. We cannot serve somebody that does not want it. And
Yeah.
people might recommend these books, people might recommend these podcasts, but if it's not for you, that's okay. That is okay. You're just not there.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned this about helping people at different stages. You used your own words, but pretty much pulling them through your experiences with ease, holding hands, so they're not experiencing this alone, because that's where the heavy is.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of those mountains that you have climbed throughout your life so far.
I think the biggest one, if I am to go back, years back, was moving to US alone with literally like $150 in my pocket because I wanted a different life for myself. And, just a little bit of background, I come from a very uptight, large religious family, poor by all means. So there wasn't many opportunities for me. The only opportunity I would have had was this arranged marriage that my parents had for me. I was 18 and they're like, here's a well-off man that you be better off marrying him because you're not going to get another opportunity, and he's going to take care of you. That was like the farthest thing away from my desire of what I was going to do with my life. First off, I had no plan to, following in my mom's steps, because her conviction brought her to a place where, her role in life was to be a mother and a life bearer, which is fabulous. I mean, I have 10 fabulous siblings, but that wasn't my calling. That's not my calling. And I knew that I wasn't gonna be okay with leaving off some well-off guy that was gonna provide me with a life. And I follow my instinct. And I think this is something that we as women, we don't do often enough. Following your instinct. When something tells you, your gut feeling tells you that this is not the right thing for you, just follow it, even though you might not have data or you might not have enough information to base that off of. And in a male-dominated niche where I'm in, there's a lot of guys that I would work with, and they'll be like, well, do you have data? I'm like, no, I don't. But I have learned in my life that my gut is equal to more, if not all above encompassing data that I can collect about this one decision I'm going to make, because it has never failed me. So going back to that decision I made, was this guy already had like this super complicated lifestyle that he was living with a married woman that I knew nothing about. And when I broke off with him, I didn't know any of those things, but he ends up, marrying literally a month after we broke off. And years later, I found out that his wife at the time found out about his dealings. So not only that my gut feeling was right, that something is off, but also that wasn't my life path that I was going to follow. So instead, I worked my ass off basically to be able to earn enough to make enough for a airplane ticket and just have a little bit of extra to spend and move to US. And the biggest challenge was really that cultural shock that I had at the beginning, where it was my first time when I moved on my own. And it was the first time what I'm seeing, in real life, people of color. And I have all this like biases built based on Hollywood movies that I was raised on. I mean, it's just some stories that I have are just hilarious, but also like so sad. It's like, really? That's your worldview? Yeah, that used to be my worldview. And I feel so sad for people that never enlarge their worldview. They live in the same place, they never travel, they never have interactions with people outside of their, whatever network. And they truly believe that the world is made just of the things that they imagine, the things that they know. And that couldn't be far away from the truth. So I always had this growth mindset, wanting to learn more and wanting to enlarge my capacity, wanting to push my, the boundaries, the things that I knew at the time. So that was really and has been my life journey, just constantly growing, constantly improving. And sometimes, you go at it and you make mistakes, you fail, you turn back, you take another path, but you keep going. So that's one of the major, challenges that I feel like I had to overcome. And then in this particular niche, in AV event productions, I had to learn how to navigate that as well, because there's plenty of challenges for women that we're still facing now, in 2023, let alone, when I first started in 2003. So it's been a long ways, but also there's some conversations that are still being had because change is still, to be made. And so we're navigating that. Personally, I also physically and mentally, I went through a completely different up leveling change just since COVID happened. And just that desire when you want to push yourself forward, you're going to take the necessary steps and you're going to put action behind your words and behind your desires and behind your dreams. Because without action, you're just going to be in the same spot and things won't just happen to you. I like to take lead when it comes to my own goals. I don't just expect things to happen to me. I go and I go after them and I go and get it. Whatever it is I want, I know that I'm going to put my heart and soul behind it. And even if I fail, that's still a positive. That's a learned lesson. But I'm still going to go at it and get it done, or get it, whatever it is that I needed.
All of that, I am speechless. I love it because there are so many things you touched about in that breath, in that space that you just shared with us. You topped into recommending enlarging your worldview. And I'm just going to have like a one-liner with each one of these, because you really don't know unless you have done something different. You really don't know what else is out there. And those prejudgments or those judgments are based on your environment, whether it's, your 5 people that you know the most, that you trust, whether that's TV shows, whatever it might be. People put so much judgment on what they don't know. And it's not their judgment. It comes from our predecessors. It's our paradigms, but they're not ours, but we own them, right? And then you talked about following your instincts. And I'm going to elaborate on that one in a second. Growth mindset, we just talked about. And arranged marriages, who would have thought I would be taught, honestly, let's just pause for 1 second. Who would have thought that in 2023 we would be sitting here having a conversation still about arranged marriages? And yes, I realize this is coming up based on your path, but if you did not follow your gut, you may not have changed the family direction with that. It may have just been the norm. Like, you broke through those barriers by having the courage to follow your intuition.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's nothing to do with bodybuilding. Like, that is huge. That's generational.
Yeah, and that's something that honestly, for change to happen, somebody's got to do it in any whatever culture, any instance where you're in, because as much as, it's a surprise or a shocker that we're still talking about that type of, unfairness, women in many parts of the world are still dealing with that. And especially in third world countries where, a lot of women don't have a say. Like, we are emancipated, we have options in US, but just removing yourself from this reality, you're going to start to see and realize how much those options that we speak of are not available to a huge population that, is outside of our borders.
Yeah. And not enough. I mean, we could have a full separate episode on just that education piece alone.
Absolutely.
I just, it's so empowering. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female or the generational gap. It is something the world needs to hear about.
Yeah.
Because when you are growing up in that small town or that little small worldly view, whatever it looks like, you don't know better.
Yep.
But that doesn't make it right or wrong, but it still comes with judgment, yours or other people. Or sometimes you're further on down the road and somebody starts calling you naive because you don't know the difference.
Yeah.
You don't want that either. You definitely want to be as educated as you can, having that enlarged view. I want to expand on following your instincts. And the reason why I believe this is going to be super important for us to share is one of my notes I made earlier was you have mentioned more than once that you are in a masculine world, right? Following your instincts is a divine feminine yin trait. Tell us about how you are balancing your feminine energy so you can hear your instincts.
I love that you touch on that, because actually just recently I wrote a blog post about it, just because it's entitled something like the need for more yin in a yang niche, right? Like a more feminine representation in a male dominated niche, just because personally, as I'm walking this journey, at first in my desire to fit in and belong, I try to be more like the guys around me. Like, those are the mentors that I have. Those are the people around me that are pouring knowledge and education into me, but also a lot of their way of being. And being the only person, like literally the only female on a tech crew of male for a very long time, it was a hard transition to accept the fact that I don't look like a guy, I don't feel like a guy, I don't think like a guy. None of the things that they do like were anything that I could take on and be empowered by. So in this process of belonging, of becoming myself, I had to come to this version of me that is feminine and yet can still work in a male dominated niche and can still bring a lot of capability and ability and technical abilities, not just soft skills, but the hard skills as well, and yet still be myself, still dress like myself, still wear lashes and makeup if I want, and whatever, hair extensions if I feel like it, whatever it was that would or wear dresses, like in a environment where everybody just wears the show black, like boxy clothing that looks like a sack of potato on a small frame like me. I need to figure out a way, how do I look like I am, a female in this field without crossing, whatever, a bunch of professional lines, like I don't, make myself be perceived in a way when that's not the desired outcome. So it was a journey, and it all came down to exactly that realization that as a female in any male dominated field, we bring some qualities to the table that we should not discount. Because for a long time, I tried to be more like a man, even though I'm I have no ability to do that yet. there's so many ladies that I work with that have embraced that like male dominating niche in a way that they become hard and harsh and basically like straight up bitches to work with, and you're like, I don't want to be that. Like that's not sexy. Like that is so far away from being feminine that I don't want to become that, So for me, that was sort of like the all the red flags going up at the same time and being like, I don't want to be that. I still want to be myself in this field, yet having to constantly prove yourself, having to be questioned consistently on the base of looks, on your abilities, technical abilities, can get tiring. So I understand where they come from, but I also believe that there's a better way, as long as we, from an identity point of view, know who we are. And we come to that conclusion and we're so strong in who we are that nobody's like doing or saying things will affect, us from doing our own thing and being our true selves.
There is so much empowerment with that. And there's the biggest takeaway I have for you on this is the journey. This is a journey. We were raised to wear men's suits, right? But tailored
especially
up
in business
yes.
Situations. Absolutely.
Or to wear black, or to wear gray, or
don't show the shoulders. What are you doing? Like,
don't show a
or
little
your
cleavage.
Excuse me.
Right? So, and anything with frills. I mean, if I stand up, you'll see the frill here. Let's do it. Do it. You'll see the frills. And like you, I wear dresses all the time. For the years I was teaching, it was 3 years. That's right, 4 years I was teaching fitness classes. What do you think I wore all the time? Workout wear.
Yeah.
That's not attractive. Like,
yeah,
it can look good. It's not attractive when you wear it 24/7. And here's the thing, you do not feel attractive. Well, if you don't feel attractive, you're not letting your yin speak for itself.
And let me tell you just one quick example, because I just heard this from, like, I have a community of women that I support in this, in this growth. One of them was telling me how just recently was on a show, and one of the guys was like, why do you need to wear makeup? You just need to show up and do your thing. Like, she's a lighting engineer. And that was like so outrageous to be for a female to be expected to not show her best self. If that means makeup to just present confidently but also perform at that level, let her wear her makeup. Like, what you and that's what I'm talking about. Like, to me, it was like, I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. I just want to go and slap someone right now, because that is unacceptable. You know what I mean?
True. Like, think about all the people working from home. Most people, and we're just grabbing an example here. We just talked about the business people. Now we're going to talk about the working at home people. So we're not just stereotyping all of you ambitious entrepreneurs that are working from home, but how many of you don't do your hair, don't do your makeup, don't put on a pretty dress? You're literally proud of the fact that you were working in your sweats or your PJs. Well, you dress for success. And I actually, and I know you don't know this about me, but I actually profile people with different energy types.
Mm-hmm.
And since I started this, I don't wear black, gray. I only wear colors that are in my
joyful colors.
Yes, actually colors that are in my type 1 energy.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant, bright, certain colors. It's almost like a bright form of pastels. But my youngest daughter says to me, she goes, Mom, you're putting yourself in this box. Because I mean, when I go shopping, I will buy the right blue shoes instead of black or gray. And she's like, you're now making it harder for yourself. I'm like, no, I'm not, because I shine brightly inside and out. People are attracted to my energy because I'm confidently stepping into the person I am. I do my hair almost every day. I do my makeup almost every day. And I don't do this for my husband. I don't do this hoping or wanting to see somebody. This is because the reflection in the mirror deserves to see it look good.
Absolutely.
smile.
But I feel like we also have to touch on the other side of the same topic, right? Because I agree with you. For me, presenting well is equal with my ability to perform a job well. And so much so that just I was having a conversation in my local networking environment. And I was actually debating with someone that was sort of like against some of the things that I am for some reason. And I was trying to get to the bottom of it. I was trying to understand more like, why do you not like me? I'm like, most people like me. Like, what? And one of the biggest things comes out of his mouth is like, well, you present well and you know what you're doing. So equal, you intimidate us, like obviously threaten, right? So to me, I'm like, so presenting well, it's actually seen as a like negative. Like, wait a second, like in what world? I'm like so confused right now, So I care about presenting well, but I feel like sometimes women are being expected and judged upon that, right? Like when I
We
come
are.
on my video podcast, like I know that a lot of the work that gets done here, like in the square, is because I want to present well. Now, if I showed up one day, like
Actually,
without
I'm
my
gonna pause.
lashes, right?
I'm gonna pause for 1 second because we need to remember that the audio version is listening to this and not
Okay,
just the video people. So can you
right.
describe that square to everybody what you're
Oh, that's the Zoom square, right? It's like
Yes.
what
Okay.
people see when you go outside of the Zoom square, people, that you haven't met in person yet, they'll be like, oh, I thought you're taller in person.
Yeah, because we're all the same on Zoom. I love it.
Exactly.
I'm 5'4".
Exactly.
I love this. Yes.
So when you come within, that Zoom square, whatever, you want to present well, you're most likely going to show up, dressed up from from your waist up, and who knows what happens underneath, like nobody cares. But it's this expectation that we have of each other to show our best. And actually, I was doing a video and it was something that had nothing to do with how I look, because I was talking about a particular issue. And I kid you not, like this lady comes out of nowhere on LinkedIn, on a professional network, and she judges my hair and my shirt. And I'm like, what part of this topic didn't hit you that you decide that my hair is more important to you to have a conversation around? Like, why do we do this to each other? That's my question,
Well, I can tell you why. And I actually addressed this on a couple of other episodes back, but I can tell you why 100%. And you talked around it a few seconds ago. You were referring more into being a divine feminine energy in a masculine world and the battles
Yeah.
that come along with that. But when we're dealing woman to woman, they're threatened. It's the same thing I told my girls. The only reason another girl, woman, lady is ever threatened or is mad at you, frustrated with you, doesn't like you, has a different vibe, is because there's an underlining piece there that you've got something that they want. And you just expressed that post was educational. You're showing up as who you are, a choice, but there's nothing, whatever you choose is perfect. It's all in alignment. It's exactly the way you're supposed to be. And you had judgment. You had judgment from somebody that you should never have had judgment for. But the only reason they judged you is because you have something they admire. Judgment and jealousy are so similar. So it's the same thing if you see your friends getting engaged or having a baby or having their business flourish and you're frustrated because none of those things are happening to you.
Yeah.
So you judge. Well, at the end of the day, you actually attracted those people to have those things, and those by that you are letting yourself know by seeing them in your world that it is possible for you too, and you are in alignment to getting it.
Absolutely.
It's
And I
worth
think to
celebrating.
that, what I would want to add to that is a choice. It's a mindset choice that we all have. We can uplift and elevate and empower, or we can bring people down by the choices of our words, right? By the choice of our actions, by the choice of our attitudes. And as women, we have such a power to be the uplifters, the empowerers, the encouragers. And it is only up to us if we leave that out. Going back all the way to the impact, right?
Sorry, I had it muted because my dogs are barking and you guys can probably all hear it, but this is real. This is live.
That's part of the conversation.
It
They want to
is.
add it to the soundtrack.
Sometimes I have my grandson here too, so it's just what it is. But this is a very important point. It's not just women collaborating. We're not just talking about masculine and feminine energy here. We're talking about the impact that we're leaving. And I know you have a mental and physical fitness focus, but I want to talk about the impact first. And I know I'm kind of leaving things in and out because I'm trying to be mindful of time. So when we talk about the impact, we both have children. I've mentioned that I have girls. I know that you have a son and a daughter. Tell me about the impact that you are making on that future generation.
And honestly, I think that is one question that every parent struggles with, right? Because you know that your kids are not going to do what you say. They're going to do what they see you do, right? So if you tell them to do one thing, but you are so far off from doing the same thing, they're not going to take your words for granted. There's going to be a time when they're going to challenge that. They might do it when they're little because they don't have a choice, but there's going to be a time when they're going to challenge that. And I remember, like, I did that with my own parents. So to your question, one way in which, because I am so passionate about mental and physical fitness, my daughter, and she's 6.5, and one of her best, like most endearing ways where she wants to spend quality time with me is when she literally brings all the workout equipment in the middle of the living floor in the living room. And she says, Mama, I prepare a workout space. Let's work out together. She's 6.5. Like, she has those little tiny, like 1 pound dumbbells, and she does her thing, but she sees me. She saw me actually do all these workouts throughout COVID when we couldn't be in a gym. We couldn't, be outside of the house. And she got so passionate about it because I wasn't just saying it, like I was living it. And now, sometimes I take her with me at the gym and she does her little thing workouts. It's just the cutest thing ever. And it just brings so much joy because I'm not asking her to do any of that. She wants to do it because she sees it, Now I'm just trying to convince my son to like let go of like buttoning the PlayStation and come with us to the gym instead, or just do a few laps around the neighborhood, but it is those little things that we do that our kids see, and it's going to have such a impact on their life, because that is enough for me to know that my daughter will take fitness seriously, because we all go through a pre-teen years, and we know what happens with your hormones going crazy, and having that anchor in a way to not just physically feel good about yourself, but also to mentally build resilience while you're dealing with emotional, challenges and struggles and just hormonal changes. That's going to be probably the best gift I can give her, really, because she's going to have a tool to use when she's going to need to burn some steam. And what better way than just doing it, working out or going for a run or do something that gets your blood flowing.
100%. And I'm actually going to share a quick story to the opposite end of fitness. So my daughter, my youngest, is 21 and she lives at home. And last week I asked her on the second day that it happened to stop interrupting my meditation. So my husband was home last week, and my old youngest son was home last week. So people were interfering with my space and my zone. So normally I would meditate in bed, but I went to the living room. She was getting ready, going to work. So she interrupted twice. So I said something. I used my throat chakra. I communicated. I kindly said something. Today, I'm in the bedroom meditating, and she comes in on fire, furious at her middle sister, and for a few things. And at the end of the day, it's respect. She was hoping on things and didn't, was disappointed with the way the cards got played out. She interrupted my meditation. She did exactly what I asked her not to do. And she finally said, she goes, Mom, I'm sorry for interrupting your meditation. I said, okay, thank you. I listened to everything she had to say. And she goes, Mom, you seem like you don't care. You're so calm. You seem like you don't care. And I said, well, you've got a couple choices. You can calm down. I didn't say the word calm down. You never want to say the word calm down, but I said,
has that effect on people.
I said, you can take a couple deep breaths right now because your day has just started and you are on fire. You are going to be spending the day at a daycare with toddlers and you are already fuming.
Yeah.
I said, the next thing, you can talk to your sister and find out what happened and just learn from an open mind to see, and this goes back to the growth mindset, to see what may or may not have happened and find out the facts before you blow up. I said, but most importantly, you just did to me what you asked her not to do to you. You did not respect what I had to say.
This reminds me, a really quick interferes there with a lyric that Taylor Swift has, which says, "Karma is a kitten that sits in my lap."
Right? Right? And the reason why I'm sharing
that karma is a bitch, because it's true.
It's pretty much, it is true. And she kind of like, whoa, like you're so calm. It's like you don't care. I'm like, well, really? It's not my story. It's not mine to own. And I didn't go that far because she's not ready for it yet. But it's just as equivalent as her, your daughter, working out with you. Brooke used to work out with me as well when she was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but now it's not cool at 21. I work out every day. I'm training
Just
for
give her a few more years. She'll come around. She'll come around.
But the thing is, it's the mindset piece. I've been practicing meditation for years now, and I responded differently. You respond differently when your daughter shows up and when you work out. And like I said, I'm an athletic geek too. I'm training for some events. But on the flip side to that, we just talked about the mental fitness component and how you respond differently when you physically move your body and when you mentally relax your body.
And couldn't be more true, because honestly, like before I start my day, if I don't have my quiet time, and that can be spent, meditating, or you can just have like some solo time to yourself to like think of the things that you're going to do, upcoming in the day. And for me, I need that space when it's quiet in the house and nobody's like, on a rush to get outside, get out of the door or something. Having that moment really centers me, and it's something that actually I'm working with my son, because he's more of a like fire up fast, like the engine that fires up super fast. Exactly. So like, especially on weekends when he sees me having my quiet time a little later in the day, because I allow myself to sleep in a little bit. I see him coming and joining me and wanting to have that time together. And to me, that's been such a powerful way to bond with him, because for the longest time, we don't necessarily have things to bond on. Like, he plays video games, I'm not into that. His dad is like, he has his bonding time with his dad, but I'm like, I'm just not. And I'm always running and doing things, and I'm mothering him, but I'm not necessarily bonding with him in that way. So our morning routine has become that bonding time, and I hope it lasts as he grows. But it's super special. It's like, as you say, you lay the foundation for something that hopefully will turn into a habit, a good habit later on. But I see the effect that it has on him to learn how to calm down himself or talk himself outside of like, getting fast, angry, or responding fast, or whatever it is that he's learning right now, to embrace his emotions and just talk through the whole weight of it all. And it's a process, it's a journey, but that just one little thing, it's almost like it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's so important.
And again, this is another topic that we could have a whole episode on, easy peasy. And maybe we'll do that one day, because impacting balance, yin and yang, has a whole trajectory effect, ripple effect on not just you, but those around you as well. And that is the part that we don't think about. Not just who we're influencing, but who we're impacting. Okay, so throughout today's conversation, we've talked about mindset, a lot of stress, a lot of growth. We've talked a little bit about stress. So that would be like the money piece. But I want to make sure that we take the next 5, 6, 10 minutes and go over meals, movement, mindset, and your relationship with money. So I would say
Not a lot of things to go over.
no, I would say we've done mindset. I'm confident. I'm confident that we have fully completed mindset. So let's tap into the other three. Meals. I know you said you're a bodybuilder, so I know what that means. That means there's seasons, peak seasons where you're on and where you're off. Where are
Right.
you at right now?
I am off season bulking, basically towards working towards my on season, which is going to be closer to a show that I want to do in the middle of the summer. So I've got a few more weeks of bulking before I would start cutting. So in bodybuilding terms, what that means is basically your nutrition is in tandem with your workout programs so that you build muscle, while when you go through a cutting season, you're gonna have to lower your calorie intake, watch your macros, make it personalized to your own specific need, but your workout routine stays the same. If anything, you just add extra cardio on top of it all. And I hate cardio. My husband, he's a marathon runner. Actually, he qualified for the best in a marathon, even though, he's like 46. It was like such an accomplishment for him to be doing that because he just started running just a year ago. But for me, I'm thinking now, man, I need to incorporate cardio into my bodybuilding season soon enough. Might as well start running a marathon. Since I'm there, why not? But yeah, that's sort of where I'm at. So what that means is basically I am constantly watching my macros. I have specific foods that I stay away from, where I have my foods that I like and I enjoy, and I eat more of within my macro allotment.
I love that. And there's two pieces there. I actually talk about macros all the time with my clients as well. It makes sense. It is the most customizable program. When it comes to macros, and I want to explain this fairly concisely and to the point. When it comes to macros, this is all about education. It's informed education that can be easy to implement depending on who you are, what you're doing. Everybody's completely different with their macros. The other piece that I want to share with you, since you're going to join my running club and run, I am actually getting back into running after 4 years off in physio. So I have a hashtag, which I will include here, but for anybody listening and for you too, Anca, sorry, I added more syllables there. Hashtag run with Sonya, Sonya.
I'm going to have to tag you some of my runs. They're not happy, joyful runs, but I will do them if it gets me to my goal.
Well, and that's the whole point, is as an accountability coach, I help my clients keep their promises to themselves. Well, last week, I ran one day instead of 3. We had bad weather, we had snow, we had cold and rain. It screwed it all up. I talked about that today when I went on YouTube earlier this morning, and TikTok, I think. But the point is, start using hashtag run with Sonya and know that this is your accountability piece. You're not doing this alone. We're building a community, and I don't care what shape or size you are. Reach out to me and I'll let you know what I'm doing. If you want to get started, or let me know where you're at, we can work on something. And you don't want to jump in without a plan. I have a plan for my 5K. I have a plan for my 10K. You've got a plan for bodybuilding.
And let me just add to that really quick, is like, a lot of people are so intimidated, especially women, intimidated when they hear, well, I'm not a bodybuilder, I'm not a fitness kid. I don't do those things. Well, you don't have to. Start where you're at. Just talking about my running journey. I mean, I could have not run, I kid you not, like 10 minutes straight without taking, 5-minute breaks. And I needed to build on that, start with where I was. Like, I started with walking, then I'm walking faster, then I'm running for a minute, then I'm running. I used to call my runs like run walks. because that's what they were. They weren't
That's what they
like
are.
runs. They were more like run walks, you know? So eventually, as I'm building the stamina to do better and better, that's when you start seeing the results. And honestly, when you start seeing results like that and progress, you start feeling accomplished. You start like feeling good about yourself and be like, man, I did that. Like I can run a 10K in one breath and not like sweat the heck out of myself. Oh my gosh, how did I get here? Obviously not overnight, but just start with the first step. Start with the first mile. Start with the first walk, whatever it is that you want to do it, and then turn it into a run walk. And then you'll see that you can get somewhere, especially as you're starting your, fitness journey in the beginning, because it can be very overwhelming. And I used to be that person too, where everything is like so much information. And yet, what is it that I can apply to me personally that will work?
Yep. And again, I can't echo that statement enough. Connect with either one of us, or with somebody, and we can help you figure out where to start based on where you're at. Don't worry about your shape or size. Only uneducated people will comment on your shape and size because they're not curious to know your story. And there is always a story.
Yeah.
Hashtag run with Sonia. I sent it to you in the chat, so you have it there. Do you have time to answer those other 2 points?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right.
We might need to cut this episode in 2 by the time we're done.
I know, it's good. Okay, so meals, movement. Okay, tell us okay, I guess we just talked about bodybuilding a little bit, didn't we, as well? And meals.
I do want to touch on just one quick note on that. There's bodybuilding and there's bodybuilding. I am into natural bodybuilding because I feel like a lot of people have this idea what a bodybuilder should look like based on what they see on most posters or on TVs or on the, Arnold. And that's their choice, what they infuse in their body and the additional supplements that they take. It's their choice, and they're going to see the results of it later for sure. Like there is no if, it's going to happen. For me, I am a huge believer in natural bodybuilding. So if I am going to put in the effort to look a certain way, to bring a certain package, which is basically my body, to the stage, I wanted to give it my best, but also it's going to look natural, which means it's going to have a different look and feel than what you see by just infusing steroids into it. So that's something that I want to make a huge difference, because a lot of our youth, a lot of the younger people, they look at those Instagram perfect bodies and they think like that's the ideal of health or wellness. And that is so not true, because even that one picture that I took on stage the day of the show, it's not sustainable year round. I don't look like that year round. Like that was my show after, months of cutting, after prepping, and after depriving myself to get to that one show. And then I come back to my off season, which can mess up with your mind so much. That's why mental fitness is so important, because if you get stuck on like one ideal body look, whatever image in your head, you're going to have such a hard time to navigate the other seasons, So knowing that there's power in your ability and confidence and your body, what it can do, and just relying that if you follow the process, it will get you what you need to do, but you're not going to look like that the whole year round. That's so important to just keep in mind, because not everybody that you see on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, is the embodiment of wellness. And that has to be taken into the account.
Again, another topic we could talk about a lot longer, because that goes back to the education piece. I know many bodybuilders, that have had mental breakdowns because of the lack of carbohydrates. Yeah. They're just not getting what they need, and they're going too long without, and it's screws up their mental health almost permanently. Like it takes them a long time to get through that. Then there's the image component, which means they're not respecting boundaries, and they're competing to the edge.
Yeah.
But most importantly, I know a lot of bodybuilders that eat treats, that eat sugars in their off season, that just live their normal life, that if I were to bump across them on the streets, you would not know they're a bodybuilder. They're off season. They are completely living their life, and depending on where they are off season, that goes back to the education piece. Everybody has a story, because and I'm going to paint a nice visual here for a bodybuilder that is under 5'5", okay, and they have muscle. unless they dress a certain way, they are not going to look fit and trim. They're not going to look lean. Their muscle mass isn't generally popping out, which means when they're off season, they might not look like a bodybuilder,
Yeah.
right?
And there's
So,
that expectation that
yes.
within the fitness community, you would have a people to look a certain way year round. And that is damaging to our well-being, because you can have that expectation of people knowing that they're on season, off season, constantly. Because when you build, when you bulk, you cannot put muscles without a bit of fat. That's just the reality of things, So you have to understand that those, the cycle of things, it will make you look a certain way based on where you're at. And like you said, to your point, understanding that there is no one image of beauty or health that fits all, it's also an important component of this.
It's huge. It's so empowering. Like, again, that is the one foundation I want to make clear, especially when you're starting your journey, or if you're looking at somebody as a coach. Look at the big picture. Look at the big picture of your journey. You are starting.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters. Okay, last topic. Talk to us a little bit about your relationship with money.
Oh man, I feel like women, we have this hate-love relationship with money, right? Like we love money because it gives us options, but then man, don't we hate it when we don't have it, or it's hard to get it, or it's
True.
hard to manage it or budget it, right? I think for me, I grew up, right, in, a pretty poor family, as in I had to start working from an early age. Even though I'm going to school, I had like side little jobs on just to have my own money, because my parents couldn't afford to buy me things aside from necessities. Like sometimes putting food on the table was a harsh reality of, like, one of the things that I struggle the most when I go through a cutting season, coming back to bodybuilding, is I cannot mentally deal well with hunger, because as a child, having gone to that, it almost has like this like PTSD effect on me mentally. I had to walk through, therapy with my therapist to unroot some of the beliefs that were created as a child and was affecting me as an adult. Like I would be the person that goes, to the store with snacks in her purse that she never touches, but they're there just in case, right? So that came from like that upbringing of like dealing with hunger and knowing what scarcity means. So because of that, like I grew up with this desire to have or make enough money until money didn't matter anymore. I didn't like want to be rich, like, or have, I don't know, like riches like that. I just wanted to have enough so money wasn't a problem anymore. Money didn't matter anymore, right? So that became sort of like my goal. And I remember like having this like little notebooks that I was literally writing down, even as like a 9-year-old. If I was like making money selling, like, I don't know, like my parents would send me to the market with like selling stuff from our garden, I would put down like, this is how much I sold this for, this is how much I made, because they would pay me a small amount, but still, and this is how much I need to buy me this. So I constantly budget. I was budgeting before I knew what budgeting is, and it was just like this desire ingrained in me, like, if I don't know where my money is, how will I be able to build it? Like in my mind, that just made sense, even though I didn't understand much about money in the beginning. So that has been one of the strongest habits that I feel like I innately had, and I just kept with it. Because let me tell you, when you come to US and you're first, as a immigrant, first opened up to the fact of credit cards, that you can borrow money that you don't have, that is such a temptation. And a lot of people fall miserably to the temptation of like just going into that and realizing, well, this is money that I'm going to pay off sometime. But if you don't have a plan, like, how is that going to like work like in long term, right? So I came to US, I had no credit score whatsoever. Like I'm 21 and I want to open a bank account, and they're like, you can't open like a bank account. Like you don't have any credit. Like, what's credit score? I'm like, what is that? It's like, basically is the liability that it's a number that measures the liability by which you're going to pay money back. I'm like, I don't have no history. Like, how do I do that? How do I build it? Right. So there's processes where you can start with what this little, deposit into your savings account that turns to be your credit account that pays for your credit. Right. So anyway, I started building to the point that, over the years, I'm at the highest credit score that anybody can have, because managing my money was the most important thing that I could do to be able to have enough so I don't have to worry about it. And then this goes into a completely different level of like financial security. Like, where do you spend the money? Where do you put it so that money starts working for you and you don't keep working for the money, right? That could be a completely different topic. But one of the biggest thing I would say to any woman out there, budget so that you know where your money goes. And then from there, make that money work for you. Like, you already work so hard for the money. Turn it around, slap it around, and make the money work for you. Figure out ways to do that. Does that mean a side hustle? Does that mean investments? Does that mean, I don't know, a Roth IRA? Figure it out, because I'm not here a financial, specialist to give you financial advice, but I can tell you from my experience, if I know where it goes, then I know what to do with it, because I know it'll be there and it's not just going to disappear. Like, where did you spend? Another thing is, like, you have cash in your purse and then the day goes by and you're like, I don't even know what I spent it on. Like, how do you track it? Like, you need to be able to track it somehow.
And that is huge. And some people, again, avoid, there's all of these different steps to it, but you would not be where you are today if you didn't practice what you just shared with us. I want to let you and everybody know that my Linktree link is going to be connected in the show notes. There is a quiz in there. It's called What's Your Relationship with Money? I challenge you all to do it. It's absolutely free. It's going to let me know which category you land, and I'm going to send that back to you with some detailed information and some your money archetypes. So you can choose which one of those that you are based on the information. And why this is important is, it's one thing to know where your money's at. It's another thing to know what's standing in your way from paying attention to it.
Yeah.
So we talk about meals, movement, mindset, and your relationship with money as the 4 pillars of your life. These are, if you look at this like your security and your stability and your root chakra, with all 4 of these pillars in balance, it doesn't matter what kind of storm you have to weather. You are safe and secure. And that's what this is all about. Anca, any final words before we chime off today?
I will finish with what we started with, this question of who will cry when you die. And to answer that question for myself, obviously it is my loved ones that will simply, be sad that I'm gone, because they will miss me, but also because they are grateful for everything that I have contributed to the world during my lifetime. And may that be, the same mindset that follows you as you think about how you answer that question for yourself.
Yeah. And on that note, I will answer that question myself. That's exactly what I've been working on over the last couple of years, between my podcast, my books, my YouTube community. Leaving a memorable impression wherever I go matters to me. So it would definitely be my kids, my grandkids that would miss me when I die. I would love to say my parents, but there's, as much as we love each other, there's still a gap there that, they're ready for me to just drop everything and get a real full-time job, and nothing to do with my business. So they don't quite understand the heart and soul. But I started that legacy. I am leaving that legacy behind that I know for the rest of their life, whoever they are, my kids, my grandkids, whatever that it might be, my great grandkids, if I'm lucky like my parents are, to have great grandkids in my life that I get to spend with daily, they can go on YouTube and catch 3 to 5 minutes of my life with them in it.
Yeah. And Sonia, don't diminish the impact that you leave through these episodes and conversations that you're having, because they will have, repercussion into the world, to the parts of the world that you will never physically be able to travel to or touch. But this conversation might. So don't discount that, because that has
Please.
such an impact that you might not even be. I feel like sometimes as we live this life, we don't necessarily have it all, together, in a sense that I know for sure that this percentage of an audience that listens to whatever my podcast has had an impact from the words that I said. But then it comes to me sometimes through like back channels, and it takes me by surprise, because you're not always thanked for the work that goes into any of these conversations, right? There's a lot of work. Like, this is natural and it's a conversation, but there's still a lot of work and logistics that goes into it. And to hear that from like people that you probably never get a chance to meet, that is so impactful. And don't discount that, because that's what will carry that legacy that, we just discussed.
100%. And the reason why this conversation is so natural and organic and authentic is because we've done the work and we're still doing the work. This isn't you and I speaking. This is our souls and our spirits communicating, expanding our knowledge and power into the world. And on that note, everybody, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. Please reach out to either one of us if there's anything we can do to support you on your journey. If you're curious about bodybuilding or mental or physical fitness or anything Anca shared today, I know she'd be pleased to answer you. We're going to have all of this information, including your blog post. Oh, I'm looking at the message.
I'll make sure that I'll put it in the chat so you have it.
Yes. And don't forget, guys, actually, you need to email me.
Okay.
Yes, the chat will disappear.
We'll do.
Don't forget Run with Sonia hashtag. And I don't care if it's a 2-minute walk. Start hashtagging it. Let's build a community to help support other men or women. It doesn't have to be women, into taking that first step and becoming that best version of themselves. Make it an amazing day, my friends.
Thank you. You too. Thank you, Sonia.